Thanks, Barb, for bringing me in, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited. You listen to my background and you think, well, what's any of that got to do with what I'm here to talk about? Nothing, really. My setup to be able to talk with you about more effective communications, quite honestly, is because I'm the son of a psychotherapist mother and a military father. I watched a model of communication growing up where one person wanted to talk all the time about everything to somebody who never wanted to listen to anything. And I started to think, you know what, there's something here. If you can crack this communications code, you can do anything. Really, if you can work with other people in the most effective, most practical way, in a way that serves them and serves you to get things done, it's fantastic. And I think nowhere does that show up better than in the context of running meetings and events. So what I want to share with you is a program called Insights Discovery. The power of the program is that it's fun, right? The power of using it is that it's fun. I want to start with a quote from Heraclitus. Man or woman is most nearly himself when he achieves the seriousness of a child at play. What that means is I would like you to play with me. I'd like you to have some fun with this topic. It's fun to learn. The more fun you have, the more engaged your brains will be, and the more this message will stick. What you're going to learn today is a system that you can walk out of here in practical application. You'll use it tonight. Many of you will use it on a spouse or significant other tonight. Trust me. I'll give you the do's and don'ts of that as we get into this topic a little bit more, but it's going to make you think, and you're going to wonder, and you're going to look at them differently, some of you for the first time ever. That's the power of it. So what I want to give you a sense of in terms of how we begin is everything begins with our sense of self, self-discovery, self-awareness. Who are you? I'd like to have you answer this question because you've probably been asked it a million times. Even here today, someone might have said, who are you? What do you do? Is one of the more common questions we ask. So what I want you to do is answer it with a single adjective at your tables, but I want to put a little caveat on that. I want you to answer it with an alliterative adjective. A what? An alliterative adjective. Okay, think back. Seventh grade English. It's an adjective that starts with the same sound as your first name. My name is Scott. My adjective right now to describe me is speaking. Speaking Scott. That's me. I want you to come up with your own alliterative adjective right now and share it with everybody at your table. Go ahead. Let me tell you why we do that. The reason we do that is it gives you a sense of somebody at your table in a different way. You're looking at them in a different light. Some of the people chose a word that makes sense. If you know them well, that adjective seems to fit. And we're excited to tell people about ourselves, aren't we? Yeah. Come on, back with me. It happens every time. We are our own favorite topic, right? That will never change. But some people came up with an adjective, and even if you know them and you looked at them and you thought, ooh, I never would have saw that coming. Where did that come from? It's all based on the psychology of self. Some of you actually had some words that you thought of and you didn't share. You filtered that word because you thought, oh, that's how I would describe myself, but only if I was alone in my bedroom looking in the mirror. I don't want to tell my colleagues that's the way I describe myself. But isn't that funny that we filter it? As children, we didn't filter it, but we filter everything in life. And so what I want to do is just take a look at this filter that we use to make sense of the world, and I want to use this graphic because how we see ourselves really does matter. Every one of us wakes up in the morning and looks in the mirror, and what do we see? Do we see that alliterative adjective that we just described? Use the example I'm giving you here. Think about yourself in the context of, are you the kitten that wakes up and looks in the mirror and sees a lion? Right? You're a little fuzzy kitten and you see this ferocious, fierce lion, and you go into work with an expectation that you'll be treated like a lion. But you're not treated like a lion. You expect people to run in fear, and they walk up to you, they pick you up, and they scratch your head. And you think, I'm a lion. Why would this be happening? Because you don't really have a keen sense of self-awareness. It's not exactly who you see yourself as relative to how other people see you. Because the way other people see you is the way other people see you. By the way, this graphic works in reverse. Some of you wake up a lion. It's almost more dangerous. You see a kitten in the mirror and you come into work. Wow, there's a set of expectations. Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you two questions. I want you to raise your hand for one of the two. Which of the two images do you identify with in my photo? How many of you identify more with the kitten? Raise your hand. Where's my kittens in the room? Let me see. And look at your table so you know what you're dealing with. Where's my kittens? Okay. Put your hands down. Where's my lions in the room? What's funny about that is none of us knows the criteria that each of us is using. Some of us are thinking, I'm a ferocious lion, I get things done, I'm driven, I'm courageous, and others think, who would ever pick lion? Mean, aggressive, ornery? Where's this come from? It comes from our sense of perception. It comes from patterns we hold about the world that help us make sense of the world through perception. So here's an easy one for you. What do I have on the slide right now? What do you see? Call it out. Box, arrows, cube. All right. How many of you think it's a cube? Raise your hand if you see a cube up there. You're all wrong. Well, ironically, because it's my slide, so it's whatever I say it is. It's my slide, it's 8 black circles, and they've been erased out a little bit. So that's what I'm sharing with you. But isn't it funny when we come together to communicate with each other? If it's what I think it is, I have an expectation, we'll have a conversation about chicken feet or peace signs, and you're coming into me to talk about cubes, and we wonder why it's not working. Because everybody approaches every interaction we have with a different perception. And that's the key, is what drives your perception. Let me give you a sense of that. And I'm going to make you do most of the work today. I don't know if anyone told you that, but yeah, you're doing the work. Starting with the words newsflash, out loud, as best you can, read everything in the blue box. Go ahead. That's not everybody. Everybody. Let me ask you a question. Did you read what's there? How come everyone says yes right away? And then there's a pause, and then everyone says no. Because we all operate using 2 parts of our brain. And if we're ever going to be exceptional communicators, we've got to understand which part of our brain is driving our interactions. At a subconscious level, you look for patterns constantly. The pattern that you see here reminds you, when you see the word Cambridge University, it reminds you of the words Cambridge University. So you say Cambridge University. Your subconscious feeds out those words. Most of you don't even realize that you're saying that. Some of you halfway through it started to pay attention, and it got difficult. The whole concept of paying attention is moving to use a different part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex. The human, the logical side of your brain, the side of your brain that has self-awareness. Most of us do not meet other people with awareness. We do not meet other people with our conscious brain. We meet them with our subconscious brain. And that's a problem. The gentleman taking the photos here looks like my brother-in-law. I hate my brother-in-law. Not true. No, not true. But we do that at a subconscious level. We make first impression judgments about everybody we meet through patterns that we hold in memory, and we don't even know we're doing it. To be able to use your conscious brain, you are able to think about what you're thinking about. It's a heightened level of awareness that most of us don't have. And what we have to do is relearn how to do it. We have to meet somebody for the first time, and as Carl Jung says, we have to focus on the otherness of the other. Not who am I, let me tell you about me, enough about me, what do you think of me, which is how most of us are wired. It's interacting with somebody for the first time. Who are they? How are they different from me? How do they show up? How can I make sense of it? Because the beauty of subconscious is what you read on this slide made sense to me. We could probably get some work done. We could communicate. We could move forward. So it worked a little bit, but it wasn't as good as it could be. Our subconscious doesn't always steer us in the right direction. What's this word? Everybody. What's this word? Silk. Louder. Silk. What's a cow drink? Oh. And I'm guessing if you yelled water to me right away, you've seen it before. That's good. By the way, when we were getting set up here, I was having a cup of coffee and I spilled it on the rug in the back and it made a little spot. Now that I hear this is just redone, I feel terrible. But there's a little spot. I know it can be cleaned up. Say the word spot. Say it again. Spot. What do you do at a green light? Oh. Do you get how often we take what our subconscious feeds us and we're completely wrong? Right? How many of you said that the wrong way? How many of you blew it, if you will? We do this almost every time we interact with other people for the first time. We make judgments about who they are and what makes them tick without realizing we've made those judgments. Scientists now say we do it in less than a second. 112 milliseconds, our brain activity changes, meaning we've made a judgment about somebody that we're interacting with, and we are usually not paying attention to it. The goal, especially to have an engaged meeting, is to have people pay attention to each other. And in most cases, meet each other for the first time. Read this out loud for me. No more tricks. Who's positive they read it correctly? Raise your hand. 5 of you. It says, I love Paris in the springtime. Oh. Why would we bother trusting our subconscious to tell us anything about someone that we meet for the first time? It's wrong. Some of you didn't even see this yet. Springtime is what my point is. There's so much that we see that we don't realize we're seeing, and we miss so much. How many of you bought a new car and you've driven it off the lot for the first time, and suddenly what do you see? That car everywhere. Like, I bought a convertible about 5 years ago in Minnesota. Nobody has a convertible in Minnesota. Everybody has a convertible in Minnesota. Honestly, it happened to me. I'm driving home and I'm like, every third car, convertible, 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 convertible. I couldn't believe it. I'd really never noticed them before until I bought it. So the question for you is, what are you paying attention to? What are you paying attention to? When you meet someone for the first time, what are you paying attention to? You know what, for most of us, it's nothing. At a conference, at a meeting, what do we tend to do? We walk up and hope we can see their name if it's big enough on the name tag, and then we lean in just a little bit because we got to make a connection of some kind. So what do we typically look for? Geography. We walk up, hi, Sue, you're from Wisconsin. I'm from Montana. There's nothing in common there, right? And then we go to the weather because we're just not paying attention. But if you really pay attention to what makes somebody else tick and who they are and how they might best communicate with you, it's really fun and you can get a lot done. I've got cards on your table right now. It's a laminated card. Go ahead and grab it. There should be one for everyone. If you take those cards, what I want you to do is I want to share with you what I call the Insights Discovery System. It's actually a system produced out of Scotland. I've been working with it for 9 years. I was actually a customer using this system in my own business, my technology business, for 3.5 years. So I've got about 12 years experience with it. I've never seen anything more powerful to help people connect and adapt with each other, and I want to share it with you now, what it is and how we use it. So if you're looking at the cards at your table or looking at my slides, what I want you to start to give some thought to is, which of these color energies do you lead with? You're not going to become one color energy. That's too limiting. You're going to lead with one, followed by another, and then there's going to be one of these that you don't have much of. But I want you to think right now about, which of these color energies do you lead with? If you lead with fiery red, you're determined, competitive, demanding, strong-willed. You've got a focus on action, a focus on task. My wife leads with fiery red. For 23 years, when we stop at the light and the light turns green, she looks at me and says, go. For 23 years, every single time. Go, turn here, go. It makes me crazy, but after like 10 years of, is this going to work or not? You know, for most of us in relationships, at some point you just accept it. I can't stop her. Now it's a joke. I mean, it happens all the time, but it's that red energy, focus on task, focus on getting things done. A shortcut for red energy is do it now. Right? If that's you, you've already decided. You lead with red. Go, go, go. Come on, Scott, get on with it. Give me the 3 other colors so you can tell me more about the color I lead with. I get that. Okay? Also kind of loud and fast in an extroverted way. If you lead with our sunshine yellow, you're energetic, enthusiastic, optimistic, outgoing. You love working with people. Do it together would be the shortcut for yellow energy. Karaoke night, that's your thing. The announcement that was made about what's happening here in a couple of months, woohoo! If you lead with sunshine yellow energy, that's a big deal for you, isn't it? Right? Because it's the energy of enthusiasm and motivation. If that's what you lead with, you still operate like red energy in an extroverted way, but it's less about task and getting things done and more about energy, enthusiasm, and optimism, motivating others, being part of a team. If that's you, you already are thinking of people you want to tell about the fact that you learned you lead with yellow energy. Red energy, you still want me to get on with it. Yellow, you're ready to have some fun. Woohoo! Now, as I talk to the other 2 color energies that are up there, green and blue, you'll notice that my tone of voice changes a little bit. A study from 1967 by Dr. Albert Morabian suggests that 38% of communication is tone of voice, and only 7% are the words we use. So how well do you manage and use your own tone of voice? Using the discovery system, you're going to use it a lot better. Because for me, speaking to cool blue and earth green is a slower, calmer, more thoughtful tone of voice, as it should be. So if you're out there right now and you lead with our earth green, you're amiable, patient, caring, relaxed, you're some of the best listeners at your tables, we know that, right? Unconditional love sits in that earth green quadrant as well. Give some thought to, is that you? The shortcut is do it harmoniously. You're very driven by mission, vision, values, making sure that people are well taken care of. It's one of the things that really drives you if you lead with earth green. It's all about people, feelings, and relationships. And our last one, and I've left you for last on purpose because you're putting more thought into, is this really the color that you lead with? You need proof from me. Is our cool blue, analytical, cautious, precise. If this is you, you're wondering if anything I'm saying is valid, scientifically reliable. Scott, give me proof. I don't want to peek at these because there could be some cool blue questions coming in, but I will get to every one of those, if not today after the fact. But that's the gift of cool blue energy. It is still a focus on task and data and logic, but in a quiet, thoughtful, analytical way. The shortcut is do it right. So I want you to think about these color energies, and the one you lead with, just kind of lock it in. In fact, hang on to it for a minute, because some of you are starting to realize, well, yeah, I got a lot of fiery red in me. Get on with it, Scott. But I got a lot of sunshine yellow, too. This is fun. I want to play with some of the other tools on the table. Get going. Some of us lead with 2 of these energies pretty equally, and that's fine. And even on less common occasions, we lead with 3. But the point is, whichever one you lead with it all the time. And it's your gift. It's what you do well. It's the talent that you bring, right? It's your natural core personality based on Jungian psychology. But what happens when you overuse it? What happens when you're too demanding, too strong-willed, too purposeful, too competitive? We talk about moving from using your color energies on a good day to a bad day. You switch over to aggressive, controlling, driving, overbearing, and intolerant. Yuck! Who wants to work with this person? Nobody. Those of you that lead with fiery red, you're never like this, right? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We all overuse our natural gift of the personality that we lead with. We all overuse our color energies and move from good day to bad day. But here's what's crazy. Who gets to be the judge of when you've done that? You? No, everybody else. By the time you know you're having a bad day relative to color energies, you're the last one in the room to know. Absolutely the last one to know. And if you're interacting with your opposite type, it happens often when you don't even realize it's happening. There's a dynamic of opposites here from the psychology that we build our model on. Red and green energy are opposite personality types. Blue and yellow are opposite personality types. Just for fun, look at that card again. Put yourself in one of the 4 quadrants. Put your spouse or partner or significant other in one of the quadrants. I'll give you a second to do that. I heard 2 of you say, oops. How many of you married your opposite type? Raise your hand. Come on. Most of us do. Most of us do. We find somebody, we're drawn to them because they literally are our opposite type. They complete us, as corny as that sounds. We come together, we complement each other, we complete the relationship, we marry them, and then we want to kill them for 40 years because everything they do is exactly the opposite of what we do. And there's a gift there if you recognize it and use it, right? But if you don't recognize it, you just bang heads, bang heads, bang heads. So the point is, this stuff matters and you want to pay attention to it. How about the opposite of fiery red, earth green? And I told you, unconditional love sits in earth green. Well, guess what? Earth green can have a bad day too. We have another expression, those of you that lead with green, you'll appreciate this. Hell hath no fury like earth green energy scorned. It takes a lot to push you over the edge, but once you're over the edge, watch out. My money's on bad earth green over fiery red any day. The point is, these dynamics are real and they show up all the time as we interact with each other. Too much otherwise wonderful, excitable, sunshine yellow energy on a bad day becomes frantic, indiscreet, flamboyant, hasty, out of control. You know somebody that's like this, right? In the office, you work with them. They tell you everything they do constantly. They're always walking me, hi, I'm going to get a pen up here. I'm going to get a glass of water. I'm going to this place for lunch. They're not asking you to go to lunch. They're just telling you where they're going. They tell you everything. Think of that person in your office right now. If you can't think of anybody, it's you. Be aware, just be aware, okay? And we can overuse that wonderful analytical cool blue as well. From analytical, cautious, and precise, what does bad blue become? Stuffy, indecisive, suspicious, cold, and reserved. So think about that. Think about what you lead with on a good day and also on a bad day. And just be honest with yourself. Is there some truth in that? Right? Now, what I'd like you to do at your tables is there's a pile of wristbands. What I want all of you to do is reach for the pile of wristbands and take the color energy that you lead with. If you lead very closely with 2 of them, that's fine. Put on 2 wristbands. I'll give you a minute to do it, but I want you to just come up for yourself what you believe either the first and second energies you lead with. Possibly you might lead with all 3, and that's fine too. Let me go back to good day and make sure that that's what we're having as we sit here and listen to me. It looks like Steph wants to know what's the color of the sky? Blue? And someone said, nice suit. Where'd you get it? But that might have been for John, so I'm not going to answer that. All right, see if you can finish that up. Grab the wristbands if you can. Put on one, put on two. What you're indicating to everyone else at the table, and eventually as you walk out, everybody that you interact with, this is what I lead with, or these are the two color energies that I lead with. Let's take a little quiz here at MPI. Raise your hand if you lead with earth green. Even if you have two color energies on, try and stick with one for now. Raise your hand if you lead with earth green. Now look around the room for a second. Look at the people you're interacting with. I hope you're raising your hand with the bracelets. Oh, now you are. Awesome. So there's earth green, amiable, patient, caring, relaxed, great listeners. You actually listen for what people are saying, and you don't care where the conversation goes. You'll listen and stay with them for where it goes. That's that introverted feeling energy. Other energies, you'll get a sense, are thinking that they're listening, but really they're just listening for a gap to jump in and redirect the conversation towards either their fun or task. Red, yellow. In fact, ironically, in the work I do, yellow energy, folks who lead with that energy tend to seem to think that they are the best communicators, but communication is two-way. They really do tend to be some of the better speakers, but not the better listeners. Where's sunshine yellow in the room? Let me see. Do you hear that? Oh, yeah. You want to proclaim your yellow energy, don't you? Yellow is what I lead with. Who wants to know more about why I lead with it and what it means to me and how I show up in that yellow space? That's awesome. We've got earth green, sunshine yellow, very feeling-based. Let's move to thinking-based, a little more logic-based. Where's my fiery red? Right? Get on with it, Scott. Speed up. There we go. Fiery red. My wife at the light. Go. Go, go, go. And by the way, my wife also has exhibited the good and the bad side of this. And because of the simplicity of this model, my 7-year-old daughter used it. She came down in the kitchen one morning about 7 years ago, and she said, "Dad, watch out this morning. Mom's got bad red going." Did we know what to expect when my wife came stomping down the stairs? Right? It's okay to talk to people about, hey, there's good red, there's bad red, there's good yellow, there's bad yellow. All of us tend to overuse these at times, most often when we don't realize we're doing it. So it's something to be more aware of. You want to pay attention to it. And you want to understand the dynamic. Where's my cool blue in the room? These hands tend to go up a little more tentatively, I notice. Why? Introverted thinking, right? So there's an introverted side to that personality as well, but there's also the lack of trust yet. I haven't proven to you that this is real. And so you're like, well, if I say blue and I don't even know what this means and this guy's just making it up, yeah, I'll give him the vote just a little bit. But what's funny is it's based on how we make decisions, right? If you lead with cool blue, one of the gifts that you bring is the gift of critical thinking. When someone says, hey, we're going to have a brainstorming session, there's no bad ideas, if you lead with high cool blue, what do you tend to say to yourself? Yeah, there are. There's tons of bad ideas. I hate when people say that, right? A way to respect your analytical, cool blue energy would be to say, we're going to brainstorm. We're going to put a ton of ideas up on the board. Some will be good, we hope, and a bunch will be awful. But let's brainstorm, and then we'll go back and critically analyze which ones work and which ones don't. The point of using a system like ours is to begin to communicate with other color energies, other people, based on recognizing those color energies, but in a way that you can understand where they're coming from and how they process the information. What the psychology is all about, really, is how we process information. Because every one of us takes in information differently, and every one of us processes information differently. When you're at a conference and when you're meeting somebody or when you're managing one of your meetings and you're watching people come together, what tends to happen is extroverted energies go meet everybody, right? Red and yellow energy. Is that you? If you lead with red and yellow out there, are you the one that typically reaches out to meet people? Yeah? It's an automatic. It's because of that natural gift of extroversion. If you're more introverted, sometimes that's okay, but often it's not on your terms. It's not on your time. So think about the dynamic if you were to portray these color energies to people that you worked with, sending them a message about how to communicate with you. Let's say you put the color energies on your door at work. If yellow was what they displayed, what would that mean? It means come in and talk to me anytime about anything. Yeah! I lead with sunshine yellow. Fiery red on the door would mean what? Come in, get to the point. Some of the tools that we use in the corporate work that we do, literally the red block that we use to indicate this color energy says be brief, be bright, be gone. Get in, get out. And if you lead with red, that's cool because you're about task and about getting things done. And what's funny is when someone who leads with yellow walks into someone's office who leads with red, you already know what that's going to be like, don't you? Hey, what you doing? What you working on? I'm really busy. No, come on. Hey, let's talk about what we're going to do this weekend. No, I said I'm really busy. Right? It's just this funny dynamic that says whatever this natural state of your personality is, whatever you lead with, it's what you lead with all the time. So you want to be aware of how it shows up, when it shows up. You want to know when you're moving from good day to bad day, because it happens and we've got to pay attention to it. One other thing that I'd like you to do, and it's also the last tool that's on your table, there's some sheets with stickers, colored stickers. Just like you did with the wristbands, but potentially with a little more detail. Take the leading color of the sticker, the color energy that you lead with, and put it on your name tag. But if you have another color energy that's underneath it, if you will, put the stickers on so that one overlaps the other one. Now you're going even one step further. You're sharing in a little more deeply way, a little deeper way, the color energy that you lead with and what's secondary behind it. So just grab those, put them on your name tag, because what's going to happen when you get up and walk out and start to talk to some people, the same dynamic in offices that I just mentioned is going to occur, right? I gave you red, I gave you yellow. What happens if it's earth green? What's the approach for earth green? It's introverted feeling energy, so the best approach isn't to just walk up and start talking to somebody, but it is to walk up and kind of check in, if you will. Is it a good time? Is now a good time? Is a brilliant lead-in for green energy. And I just saw about a dozen of you who I'm assuming lead with green. You nodded your heads. Wouldn't it be nice if people didn't just walk in and demand these 5 bullet points from you, but if they walked in and said, is now a good time, or would you like me to come back? If you lead with green, that's awesome. If there's cool blue on the door, what's it mean? It means don't come in. Send me an email. Schedule some time. Write to me what you want. Send me some supporting documentation, and we will get some work done productively. And if you think about what happens at events, and the point here is to get a sense of what can a really engaged event look like, well, you know what's going to happen with folks who lead with sunshine yellow. They're going to talk to everybody, and especially to each other, and especially about themselves. And that's awesome. That's going to happen. Fiery red, you're going to approach those people, but there's going to be kind of a component of task orientation to it. What are you here trying to get done? How can I help you get something done? If you lead with red, wouldn't that be great? That it's just not chatting, but it's chatting with a focus on task. Earth green, do that check-in. Is now a good time to make a connection? That's what I'd like to do is get to know you a little better, a little more authentically. Authentically and genuine are key watchwords for green energy. And cool blue, if you're at a conference wearing a cool blue bracelet, people are going to give you your space. Now, you might think, well, how does that create engagement? It allows you, leading with cool blue, to approach people on your terms and when you're ready. And if you lead with cool blue, wouldn't that be awesome? It doesn't mean don't ever talk to me, but understand the nature of my core personality and how I tick. Take a look at your table right now and just kind of look at the people that you're with and look at how they've designated themselves with those dots. Such a simple tool, but such a key way to make sense of it, isn't it? Let me have you do this. Since you started without me, extroverted energies, share why you chose. Like, what is it that you see in yourself that caused you to put those dots on your name tag? Just share that at your table for a minute or two. Go ahead. Now, if you're leading with cool blue, raise your hand for me if you would. And if you're leading with earth green, raise your hand for me. And if you're leading with fiery red, keep the hands up. Fiery red, raise your hand for me. Now, the hands that are up are red, green, and blue energy. And now I got yellow. Great. Generally speaking, yellow energy is generally speaking. No, we're not. Let me think about whether or not we are. Do you think we are? I don't know. I don't know. The way we naturally show up through these color energies, it's a lens that we show up through all the time. Why wouldn't we want to give people a sense of how to engage with us, what to talk about, what matters to us? Because it's where we focus our energy. Do we spend our time drifting off thinking about people and relationships and feelings, right? And then what energies does that mean we lead with? Or do we focus and drift off thinking about task and how do I get more done? Well, it's based on the psychology that underpins our model. How many of you have been through a personality assessment sometime in the past 20 years? Myers-Briggs, probably being the most common. Keep your hands up if you've been through that. Keep your hand up if you remember your 4-letter designation from that model. Keep your hand up if you know the 4-letter designation of the 3-4 people that you work with most. Keep your hand up if you communicate with them differently because of your 4-letter designation and their 4-letter designation. I usually don't. Some of you want to keep it up so bad, and that's okay because it does deliver value. I did that training for several years, but I realized it's really difficult to use in the moment. It's really difficult to just latch onto and make that assessment about somebody and then treat them in a unique way. Well, the psychology that underpins MBTI or Myers-Briggs is the same psychology that underpins our model. What our founders in Scotland did 20 years ago is to say that psychology is so brilliant. Wouldn't it be awesome if people used it 10 or 15 times a day, every day? How many of you, by the way, have already started to think about, what's this mean to me tonight when I walk in my home? Huh? Come on, be honest. What am I going to do with my partner when I get home? I'm going to tell them all about how to treat me. They don't care. They don't care. You're going to say, I had this neat talk and I learned about personality and I lead with this and you lead with this, and they're going to say, I don't care. Because they weren't here to get a sense of what it is. So the real magic of using these color energies when you go home tonight is not to over-convey whatever the energy is that you lead with, right? It's to think before you get home, using that card, what energy do they lead with? The power of connecting and adapting in our model is we're only looking for a 5% move from you. If you live in introverted thinking, cool blue all the time, but you realize you've got a partner at home who leads with sunshine yellow, and you know why they make you crazy and when and how they make you crazy, but what if you were to try and become 5% more sunshine yellow? It's on the card. It tells you what to do. Just make a slight effort towards that sunshine yellow. If you do that for 2 days without telling them what happened here with us today, if you treat them that way for 2 days, they will call you downstairs for breakfast and say, sit down, listen, we need to have a conversation because I think you're having an affair because you've never treated me so well. What's going on? The impact of it is truly that dramatic. And it's only 5% effort on your part. But what are you doing? You're engaging with them with awareness, with consciousness about what Jung called the otherness of the other. You're interacting with them in their preferred style, whether that's more detail or less detail. Talk faster, talk slower. Ask about their day, tell them about your day, right? They either prefer to talk or prefer to listen. Pay attention to the clues. The clues are there. That's the power of it. Remember the shortcuts, right? Because it's an easy, if the color energies don't resonate well with you, think of the shortcuts. Red energy, do it now, do it now, do it now. I don't want you all to think about my wife all the time, but it's such a great example for me. Go. Go. And she leads with red, yellow. So after I say, stop it, she goes, go, 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 go. Because that's yellow and funny and, love her. I love her. Do it together. Sunshine, yellow energy. Think about how that impacts you if that's the energy that you lead with. What do you like to do? Be with people. What are you not so comfortable doing? Being alone. That's fine. My son leads with cool blue. In high school, he used to go up in his room and just hang out, and we'd think, we got to fix that guy. What's wrong there? What's he doing? He leads with cool blue. Analytical, right? Thoughtful. Just likes to kind of sit and process. Those of you that lead with cool blue, you do your best work when you're quietly not moving. Isn't that interesting? And sometimes organizations don't acknowledge the need to allow this kind of processing to happen. Do it harmoniously, Earth Green, do it right. We support an organization called Caring Bridge. How many of you know Caring Bridge, by the way? If you don't know about it, ask somebody at your table. It's absolutely phenomenal. And they use our program and the work that we do. But we've taken every staff member and put them in the context of this model in the break room, and they have their faces on the wheel. So everyone walks in every day to get a cup of coffee and gets regrounded in who likes to chat, who's about task, who should I send information to via email instead of walking in to chat about it, right? And where are the people where I can have a real, genuine, authentic one-on-one conversation? It's structuring and categorizing how you communicate with other people based on your ability to do that. So pay attention to it. Let's do this now. I want to sort of take you through a couple of quizzes and make sure that we understand it. I want to make sure that by understanding it, it means you're going to use it the right way, not the wrong way. The wrong way is to go home and tell everybody what you learned about yourself. It's such a natural component to who we are and what we want to do, but you won't get anything for it. It won't help you. What will help you is reaching out to the otherness of the other. So think about it in that context. How about if you think about Cool Blue, the approach to life, high standards, and being correct. Also, by the way, at that Caring Bridge event, we had a strategic breakout. I was on the board for a number of years, and so we were planning, the next 3 years out. So using our tools, we walked away with the colorful tools in our hands, and there was 5 of us. And the 5 of us were carrying tools that were yellow, 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 blue. And John was holding the blue block, and he looked at us and he said, I guess I'll be devil's advocate. Guess what? John would have been devil's advocate anyway. But the fact that we knew he was going to do it we just laughed about it. We came up with a bunch of crazy, dumb ideas, and John shot most of them down, right? Beautifully. That's what his energy is gifted with. But because we knew it was going to happen, it was fun instead of distracting or created a sense of disconnect with what we're trying to accomplish. If you lead with cool blue energy, you've got a goal of understanding. Why are things the way they are, right? Do it right, do it right, do it right. Overuse, there's that risk of analysis paralysis, right? There's always a little more research that you can do. There's time when you want to drive forward, move ahead. Approach to life for earth green energy, if that's what you lead with, a focus on stability, values, supporting others. Sometimes this doesn't get its due in our corporate worlds. We don't pay enough attention to this. This is about really paying attention to people, especially if you're leading other people. This is interacting with somebody, and especially if you lead with high fiery red, just to communicate and connect. How are you doing? How are things? Not how's that project progressing, but how are you? How are you feeling? And paying attention to that. It's one of the things to focus on. And also, if you think about the stretch to your opposite type, that's a bit of a reach for some of us. But even just that 5% stretch makes a dramatic difference as we connect and communicate. A goal for earth green, harmony, getting along. A goal for sunshine yellow, recognition, right? Having fun, being in the spotlight, being in the limelight. Yelling, woohoo, as I point out who leads with sunshine yellow. It's just a natural, emotive part of what we do. Doing it together, doing it in teams. Approach to life, fun and interaction. Very different than the approach to life to fiery red. Inner certainty, focus on action, go, go, go. Fiery red is great at rallying a team to take the hill, right? Ready, let's go. Charge! All the way up on top, took the hill. Somebody's standing down on the bottom like this with high cool blue saying, wrong hill. Tried to tell you it was the wrong hill, nobody listened to me. If you lead with extroversion, pull yourself back sometimes. If you lead with introversion, give yourself permission to speak up more, right? Not all the time, but when it matters, when it matters. A goal of fiery red, personal achievement, meeting challenges. Fiery red doesn't take the path of least resistance, ever, do you? Where's my fiery red out there? You take the path of least resistance? No, you take the path of greatest resistance. Why? Because it's a challenge to see if you can do it. Go, go, go. That's what it's all about. Those are the energies. Let me share with you the psychology that underpins it. I've referenced it a little bit, but I want you to get a sense of it. In our model, thinking's at the top of our model, feelings at the bottom. Again, equating it to the card that you have in front of you. Introversion on the left, extroversion on the right. But when you bring these together, they define what these color energies mean. Scientifically valid, statistically reliable. If you lead with cool blue, it represents introverted thinking energy. ISTJ, for instance, if you come from an MBTI or Myers-Briggs background. Introverted, sensing, judging. Our earth green is introversion and feeling. INFP in some cases, to give you a sense of how those models relate. But think about what that psychology means. They're both introverted energies. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was at the Sky Club at the airport with my wife when we were watching another couple, and you could tell that they were really comfortable. He was playing Sudoku, and she was playing Password. I don't think they said a single word to each other in 40 minutes. And my wife and I just kept looking up thinking, when are they going to talk? When are they going to talk? You could tell by their body language they were super comfortable. Just comfortable being together in an introverted way. Likely leading with either blue or green energy. My wife and I we almost wanted to interrupt him and say, hey, we noticed you're not talking. But you seem really comfortable. Could you talk to us about that? We wanted to just jump on that. It was killing us to pay attention to it because of how we're wired. Sunshine yellow, extroversion and feeling. So what you start to see is how you make connections to other energies. Earth green and sunshine yellow, you connect on people. You connect on feelings. Look at all the heads. Yes, we do. People, feelings, and relationships. Yeah, there's a connecting point. And fiery red, extroverted thinking. So if you lead with red and somebody leads with blue, you can both connect on data, facts, and logic. It's the place at which you make great connections with each other. What's the connecting point that you see between the opposite color energies? Nothing. Ironically, nothing. So your opposite type, who can potentially bring you the most gifts because they're good at what you're likely not good at, right? Their preferences are the exact opposite of yours. If you team up with them, you make a great partnership with awareness. If you team up with them without awareness, you have a brilliant fight. Because what do we do when relationships not working? We bring more of what we do well. So if I lead with sunshine yellow and I meet someone who leads with cool blue and I think, hey, they're not with me here. We're not clicking. I'm going to get funnier and tell more jokes and be crazier because that's what my sunshine yellow invites me to do. And what's it do? It makes it worse. And the same thing happens on their end. If we're not paying attention to this stuff, it derails us. According to Harvard, 87% of our ability to be successful is our interpersonal communication skills and not the competencies of what we do. 87% of your ability to be successful doing what you do is how well you communicate about it. Discovery is an amazing pathway to communicate and connect with other people. Think about you as a leader. Every one of you is a leader. That doesn't mean you manage people. You're a thought leader. You're an individual contributor. Or you do manage people. In either case, other people watch you to see what to do. Think about where you might fit within our model. This is both the original 4 color energies that we talk about, but also the blends. How many of you, by the way, just have one color energy on your wrist? Raise your hands. Let me see. You're comfortable identifying with that one leading color energy. Great. Meaning you're probably easier for me or others to identify that color energy in. How many of you have 2 bracelets on? Let me see. Classic. Okay? 1 or 2 types. You could lead with either one. The power of this is that if I approach you and I see these 2 color energies, I understand one of those 2 approaches, and it makes sense to me. Some of you might have even put on the 2 opposite color bands. That happens also. Not as common, but you might believe that at times you lead with determined fiery red, and at times you lead with earth green. It's very possible within this model. Sometimes you lead with, if you've got both cool blue and sunshine yellow, that's very possible as well, meaning at times you're analytical, cautious, and precise, and then other times you're life of the party. It's such an interesting dynamic when you start to pay attention to it. And let me warn you, it can be very addictive. Very addictive. It's very, very powerful to understand other people and to make brilliant connections with them. Both to enjoy yourself, both to be productive, and for you running meetings and events, both to create a level of engagement that will blow you away. It's amazing how people stay engaged. And some people keep these wristbands on for 3, 4, and 5 years. Oh my. And you know what people think when they see that? They think, oh, they're supporting a charity. And if you have 2 bracelets on, they think, oh, that person is super generous. There's no negative to keeping the bracelets on, so think about it. Think about playing with the model to understand yourself. I'll just let you read this slide and think about how these color energies present themselves. You see yourself in that slide, don't you? And do you see your opposite type? Do you see what they do that bugs you? If you do this in an elevator, you do it everywhere. You do it at work, you do it at home, it's you. We have a simple expression in Insights, but really it's powerful. Wherever you go, there you are. You bring yourself to everything that you do in terms of engagement, communication, connections to others. You need to know, how are you wired? What makes you tick? It's all about frame of reference. If I'm 7 feet tall, you're all short. I better know if I'm 7 feet tall or I can't make sense of the world because everyone's short and I don't get why. If you love detail, right, you're going to have a different level of how you gauge other people against that standard. If you talk fast and loud, you're always going to wonder why people talk so slow and make you crazy. Or if you talk really slow and thoughtfully and calmly. Right? I'm making some of you crazy, aren't I? But if that's your frame of reference, that's how you judge the world. It's amazing how many confirmations I saw. Yeah, pick it up, buddy. Let me give you a quiz. Let's make sure we get this. What energy might this person lead with? Fiery red, focus on action, right? And that's how you want to interact with them. No matter what you lead with, even if you lead with red, bring 5% more if you recognize this in someone else. No matter what your mix of color energies is, just bring 5% more. Calm down, Edna. It's a giant, hideous insect, but it might be an insect in need of help. Oh, some of you just went, oh. What energy? Earth green. What if fiery red opened the door? Kill it. Everyone says kill it. It's the neighbor in a costume. You just shot him, right? Bias to action. Bias to action is always fiery red. Bias to action. And so you just threw everything together. Matthews, a posse is something you have to organize. Matthews probably leads with yellow, right? The gift of organization doesn't always fall within sunshine yellow. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You can, but you've got to work a little harder at it. And by the way, we can all exhibit all these color energies. The less we have of it, the harder we have to work to be able to do it. But we can totally do it. That's the point. We're able to stretch in all different directions. There's little chuckles unless you lead with cool blue and then you think, hey, I don't like that. I don't do that. Ask some people you work with because maybe there's a little sense of it and maybe you do. Also think about if using too much of this gift of your color energy, becomes a problem, how do you know how far to go? It's tricky. You don't, for sure. You've got to be tuned into the otherness of the other. You've got to have a new level of awareness about you connecting with other people. You've got to think about what you're thinking about. So it's about a new level of awareness and paying attention. It's also about reaching over to the opposite energy to enhance what you bring. If you bring that brilliant, energetic sunshine yellow, reach over and grab a little bit of blue, which we describe as yellow energy with focus. So if you lead with yellow energy and you want it to be the best it can be, demonstrate yellow energy with focus. Some of you went, oh, that's hard. It's hard for all four of these. If you lead with fiery red, demonstrate your fiery red with grace. Grace sits over in green. Demonstrate fiery red with grace. Sunshine yellow with focus. How about your cool blue? Demonstrate cool blue with enthusiasm. There's one for you. Own that baby, right? It makes your cool blue brilliant. And earth green, what do we need from you? Demonstrate your earth green energy with power. Speak up when there's a reason to speak up. Earth green with power. Think about those catchphrases to be as brilliant as you can using the energies that you have. Try not to walk out of here and look at each other and say, oh, you're green, I'm blue, you're red. Don't do that. It's a misuse of our model. Nobody becomes one color energy. Nobody. We're a blend of all four. The blend of these energies is what makes us who we are. So think about talking in this language. I lead with. You're going to think this is crazy, but I want you to say that with your color energy. I lead with. All I heard was yellow. That's funny. Everyone, just say it again. I lead with. Oh, I heard yellow and green. Green said, I will not be unheard in that moment. I will demonstrate my green energy with power. Oh, I love that. So just don't put someone in that bucket, right? Be open to the possibilities. We're talking about personalities here. How many personalities are there in the world? 6 billion? 7 billion? How many in this room? 200? The point is, be open to the possibility that not everybody directly conforms to this model, but start paying attention to this, and you're going to be able to connect with and understand people in a way that helps you be better connected, and involving this in meetings, events, right, creates a level of engagement, because if people connecting with each other in the most appropriate way, the level of engagement becomes amazing. Take a look at this last quote from Jung himself. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Everything I'm talking about starts with you, each of you, creating a new level of self-awareness about paying attention to other people. So what I want you to do as you walk out of here today, decide how long you want to be known as charitable. Keep the wristbands on, okay? And just pay attention to it today. Pay attention to it tonight. Think about it for a day or two, and you're going to start to look at your entire world differently, but also in a way that allows you to be better connected, more impactful, more effective, and more engaged. Thank you very much.